Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. It is Saturday, 10 o'clock. Good morning, Cindy. How was your ride this morning? I saw your picture. At least I think you posted it this morning. It was beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, Barb. Hello, Barb. Good morning. So, yeah, what a week. What a week. Um, last week, remember last week, I had a fundraiser charity event. Is that you, Gustav? Did I get that right? Wonderful ride. A few raindrops. Yeah, we've had rain here since like 10 o'clock last night, nonstop. So, anyways, we did a charity event last week. It was rainy then also. I was in an um outdoor vendor area, and lucky for me somebody had a spare canopy and helped me with that. Um but we raised over $7,000 to offset the medical expenses. Just exciting. Completely totally exciting. But that brings me back here. Did you guys did you see last week's recorded episode um talking about digitizing? Did you find that helpful at all? Being that I missed last week's, well, I feel like I missed last week's episode because, I wasn't here, even though I recorded it. I thought maybe we could do it again, play it again. Yes, it is. Thank you. Yay. Um, so only today, I want to talk about applique. Watch the replay, Barb. Thank you. I want to talk about applique. I've had some requests recently for applique work on hat fronts, and not the ragged edge patch look, but true traditional applique. And I want to use today's episode to show why that doesn't work. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen here. I found a very simple image. Um, and for hat front, we'll just concentrate on the heart part. You'll see here. I'm going to bring it up now. Um, Very simple image. Um, I set it up in 3 sizes, 4, 7, and 12 inch. I want to show you why at small pieces, applique doesn't work. Okay, so here's a guideline. Everybody's been talking about rules and guidelines and rules of thumb, and yes, myself included. But here's a guideline when it comes to applique. Going to unhide. No, I don't want to unhide all. I just want to unhide this one piece. Thank you. This here, this here box is 2 inches square. I'm going to enlarge the, whoops, probably help if I knew what I was doing. So this box is 2-inch square. When you're doing applique, you're laying fabric into an area to reduce the stitch count, but maybe add a little more color, or depending on your pattern, your fabric could have a pattern to it. So the thing with applique that you want to remember is that the area that you want to put fabric into should be, oops, we're on the wrong one. There should be at least a 2-inch square area available that will be done in the applique fabric. Now, one of the other things you have to consider is the satin cover stitch. You're going to have, once you lay in your applique, you lay in your fabric and you trim away the excess, you need to cover that raw edge. And that raw edge, now, yes, again, this is just a guideline. It's traditional to use a satin stitch to cover the raw edge in applique, but you can use raw edge applique if that's what you want. You can use you can use different stitches. You can use motifs. You can use anything you want. But traditionally, it is a satin stitch. So in this case, I'm going to enlarge again. We have established that we have at least 2 inches of fabric. Oh, but wait. Do we have 2 inches in this round circle here? No. So we probably won't do that in applique. Do we have 2 inches in this highlight area? Looks like a kidney bean or a jelly bean. No, we probably won't do that in applique. So those 2 items, we're going to use a different stitch type. Depending on the size, we'll use a satin or a tatami fill. But what about this outline here? I believe this was the red. And unhide. Yes. All right. So, now I realize that it's probably not an issue with this piece, but that outline, that satin stitch should be at least, come on, open up here, should be at least 3 millimeters wide. And of course, that is to cover the running stitches or the tack down stitches that are underneath it that are holding that fabric in place. Should be at least 3 millimeters wide. Now, if this artwork was large enough to where we would want to applique our little round dot in our jelly bean, the thing we need to be concerned with is that our 3 millimeter cover stitch is overlapping and running into our 3 millimeter outside border. Let's see if we can change this so you can see it. I'm going to break these apart and convert them to lines. I'm going to hide the artwork. Okay, let's change this one. We're going to change the color on this one to, ta-da! Do you see how this is running over the top? There is no room for the fabric here, so it'll be all covered up. It'll look bulky. It's just, in my opinion. Good morning, Masheed. Masheed. Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I was terrible. So let's go back to here. Say good morning. Let's go back again. Do you see how these stitches are going to overlap each other? Not only is it going to cause a density issue, but it takes away from the look of the piece. We're going to go backwards. Bring it all back. See? Okay. Now, so we're going to bring our artwork back. Oops. And we're going to see that, yes, we could applique this heart, this little balloon heart. But it might be just a little bit small. What about the 7-inch? Could we do this in a 5x7 hoop? Yes, we have plenty of fabric here. Are you laughing at me? There we go. Look at this. He's laughing at me. Yeah, I'm a name butcherer. I am so sorry. You almost need to spell it out phonically for me to get it correct the first time. I am so sorry. All right, going back to our applique. All right, so here is the 7-inch balloon. Yes, there's plenty of fabric there. What about the applique? Is there still plenty of fabric for this little circle? No, we're probably still going to do that in another stitch. What about this one? Do we feel good about this one? It's kind of small. Maybe, maybe not. Let's measure it. I'm going to put us back into Imperial, and I'm going to hit my M key, which measures. It's only a 1/2 inch wide. So if we do cover stitch on this, we're going to lose a lot of our inside fabric. Let me turn off the artwork. Let's measure this again. Now this is our visible fabric here. Yeah, it's about 40% of an inch. Gosh, I don't know. That's gonna be a decision you make at the time that you're doing the digitizing. Personally, I like to see a lot more fabric, so I would probably change this to a fill. Cindy has a point here. You have to either exaggerate or scale down for this small of an object. You're right. I have no room to exaggerate though because it's going to go to the outside. And I don't want that. Let's see. Well, maybe that would work. Let's go back out. That wouldn't be too bad. Still kind of small though. Okay, so you would make that decision at the time that you're doing your digitizing work. Myself, I would use a fill stitch. This one, the circle is 13 millimeters. Yep, it's still going to have to be a fill stitch. I might put a narrow satin around it just to finish off the edge a little bit. So let's go over to our 12-inch piece. Come along, little doggy. There we are. Lots and lots of room. Lots of room for an applique on this one. We could decently do applique on our jelly bean highlight also. The circle, that one's going to be a little more tricky. We're going to look at that one. Let's see if we can open this up and unhide our circle. Oh yeah, that's 22 millimeters. That's almost a full inch. We could probably get away with an applique bit of fabric in there. Working around. Do, do, do. Oh, come along now. You guys get to watch me dance around my screen here. So, yeah, we could do that. Frank, good afternoon. Are you still on vacation? Why are you not at the beach? You should be on the water. So, we could probably get away with an applique here. Let me put it back in inches again. Hit my measuring tool, my ruler. Oh, yeah, that's 3/4 of an inch. If I looked at a piece of fabric, I might decide to go ahead and do a 3/4 of an inch applique. And of course, we definitely have room here. Frank says yes, he is still on vacation, and it's too hot for the water. Oh, but look, at our larger size, our 3mm cover stitch leaves us room between these two covers to actually see some of that fabric. So when you're doing applique, you want to look hard at the artwork that you're doing to make that decision whether applique is going to work for the situation. You don't want to, gosh, and I don't know. Let me see if I can find another picture here. While you guys are there, I am going to do a little search for coloring pages. Oh, this one is pretty busy. All right, copy this image, come back. Yeah, you didn't even know I was gone, did you? And, oh, we're going to do this and paste. Center. I'll bring up the screen just a moment. Now, this is a 5x7 image. Let's just do a little digitizing here. I'm going to bring this up. Let's just do these spiky leaves down here. I'm going to bring this up. And it's going to be kind of sloppy because, you know, we're just demonstrating at this point. And I'm going to select my satin column. And it's already set at a default of 3mm. So we know that there's a lot of room here. We can probably do, you know what, we've got our 2-inch guideline. Oops, that's a bit much. But what about our traditional satin cover? Of your applique, of your fabric, how much fabric are you actually going to see in this situation? This artwork, I know it's an exaggeration, but it's something to consider because, you know, people come to you and say, I want this and I want it in applique. This is a place that we need to educate our customers on what can and cannot be done. We could probably applique the word relax, but all of those flowers, let me take that back. Maybe. Let's do this again. If we were to use just one large piece of fabric for this larger flower, And we're going to applique here anyways. Will this work? I'm thinking it's still going to be too small. Maybe not. Okay. And then we could use another running stitch to accent in the center. What do you think? I honestly like working in this green because I can actually see it on screen on my monitor. So maybe all these little small elements will not work for applique, but some of these larger flower elements we could probably work in a single fabric. You like it, Cindy? Yeah, I like it too. I think it's very doable. And of course, we're going to do the word relax. Let's go see what its cover stitch looks like. Actually, that would work out really well, wouldn't it? So these narrow, spiky leaves would probably be a satin stitch. Let's do that real quick. Satin. And they will come underneath. They'll come underneath because they're behind our flower. And we'll use running stitches to accent the inside of the flower. All the small elements would be satins. Excuse me. The bigger elements we could applique. These are all things you need to try to path out, to work out in your mind when you're working with your client, so that you can educate them and help them understand what can and cannot be done. So that's about all I've got with regard to doing applique and the artwork that we would use for applique. Are there any questions? Botswana. Hello, Botswana. Do you have a name? You're coming up as Facebook user. Look at this. I'm international. Yeah, international me. Yay. Okay. Um, so Botswana, we were just finishing up uh some basics. Sandra, welcome. Welcome to Coffee and Conversation. As I was just saying, we're finishing up here on things to consider when looking at artwork for applique. Please, I know that we're at the end of it here, but it's available. It'll be available on my group page, and it'll be available in the YouTube. The YouTube is also quick to stitch. Um, so while we have a few minutes here, that's you, Sandra. Where'd you go? Sandra has just reminded me that I had helped her with her embroidery machine. Yay! Thank you. Thank you for being here today. Cindy, what do you need? Cindy, ideas for applique fabric application for a hat logo. Oh, here. Um, let's just do something real quick here. Let's go back to our balloon. Okay? If I were doing, let's get rid of all of this. See if we can't get rid of some of this. Do, 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 do. You are so very welcome, Sandra. Thank you. And oops. Guess what? I got rid of my okay. So Those of you that have been here before, you know I have a template that I use for hats. Let me get that hat placement template. Okay, so right now, our heart balloon is just a little bit large. Okay, so if I were to do this as an applique for a hat, oh, say hello to little kitty. Her name is Tori. She wants my coffee. Tell her we're doing a show here. No coffee for the kitty. Go on. Okay, so if I were to do, oh, Barb, thank you. I'm sure that would help, huh? You would rather see the screen than me, especially if we're talking about applique for hats. So let me just recap. Tori, Cindy says hi. Okay, so I pulled in my hat template. I sized the artwork to fit the hat template. I can get rid of the hat template now. We're going to get rid of that. I'm going to lock my image in place so that I don't accidentally shift it. So if I were going to do this in applique, my first thing would be to lay in a running stitch of where I want the fabric to lay in. And that's just and of course, if I were doing this to be used in production, I would be a little more careful with my placement. Okay, so there's my running stitch for where to lay the fabric. So now we've got the fabric laid in place. I'm going to duplicate this, change its color, change the number of stitches from a single run to a triple run because now I want to lock that fabric in place. And that's pretty much it for the placement and the tack down. Now, if I were doing, I'm going to pull this off of here. If I were doing raw edge applique on a hat, that's as far as I would go. And then I'm going to use some squiggle lines here. I would cut my fabric around the edge. That's a fabric cut line. All right. And use a woven fabric. I know we've talked about wovens and knits before, but just so you know, just as a reminder, woven fabrics are fabrics that you can pull the threads off. Okay. So after you have this cut line, you can take a brush, a stiff toothbrush maybe. Yeah, a toothbrush would work, or your fingernail, and you would just kind of pull all those threads out up to where the stitches are, where the stitches have locked the fabric in. Cindy, hi. Guess who's just dropped in? Aaron! Aaron, are you still out of town? Should this not be a family day? This is your minute. So you like this, Aaron? We're gonna get you a machine, and we're gonna have you. Oh, Barb, you're right. Aaron, we're gonna have you up and stitching anytime. Barb's right. We could use the 3D puff tool to help pull the woven shreds from the edge of our fabric. Now here's another I'm going to delete our cut line. No, actually I don't want to delete the cut line because we still need to cut. But what I want to do here is instead of using instead of using just a running stitch, and again, we'll have our cut line and we'll shred our edges. I want to use, oops, wrong piece. Back up. Where'd it go? There it is. And of course, we would have to change the spacing a little bit. Let's make these, and let's see, we would want to change, this is an E stitch. It's a traditional hand applique stitch. And of course, where is it? We would want to offset this, and I always get my offsets on the wrong side. Yep, did that again. And we want to change our angles. We'd have to fuss with this a little bit. So we could use an E stitch, which would also hold our fabric in place, allow us a cut line. I would also, on top of the E stitch, I would duplicate our triple stitch just to give that extra bit of security. Cindy says Barb has a good idea with the 3D Pro tool. And Aaron, he's still out of town, just sat down for some donuts before heading out to fish again with his son. You all impressed the heck out of me. I love watching creativity and problem solving. Aaron, thank you so much. Though I have to admit, I'd like to have a donut. I would like to have a donut. Okay, so there are different ways you can do applique on your hat. Your traditional may not necessarily work. Of course, in this case, it would if that's all we were doing was just the heart. Get rid of this little piece here. Get rid of, oops, that's not what I wanted to get rid of. We still need our placement line. Get rid of our cut line. This might be a little tight here. You know what I would do here at the bottom? I'm gonna Aaron, you started something. Oh, look at this. Cindy wants a donut. Cindy, we want donuts with sprinkles, right? Sprinkles on our donuts, Aaron. Okay. Going back to the screen real quick. We could do a traditional applique finish, but you see right here, there's a little bit of a problem. Let's go up. Here's what I would do for that little bit of a problem. I'm going to highlight this. I'm going to edit those nodes, get rid of those. Get rid of those. Make a traditional heart. And then on top of it, where do I want to do? What do I want to do? Of course, that's like the sloppiest bow I've ever seen. But I think you get the idea. I would change the bow to be its own element. And then because we have a balloon, how much room we got for our hat? Let's do this again. All right, I'm gonna move this over. Okay, you guys got me making a balloon for my hat now. I want to do this. I want to tilt it a little bit. Bring it here. Oh, get rid of that because we're just playing. Yep. And then screen got away from me. And of course, then we still have some room for some text. Oh, look. Cindy, he's going to ship them. Of course, he makes no promises to the quality and the shape. And Aaron, thank you very much. Thank you very much for encouraging me to do this. Um, like I said back when I was thinking about it, I just wanted it to be very casual, and it is very comfortable. Uh, and yeah, I like that bow too. Of course, we'd make it much nicer. But here's an applique for a hat. And it's not a raw edge applique, but then, we don't have that inside shading stuff that we were doing before. Okay, now I know we've gone over our general Aaron, Cindy says thanks for the donuts. So let's talk about next week. Okay, this is a scary thought. Who wants to come on show with me and just have coffee and conversation about embroidery? I'll be here. Um, Maybe we could talk about what we do with our embroidery. We all have, oh, thank you, Cindy. We all have this passion for this stuff that we do. What is it that you do with your embroidery? For example, I do digitizing because I love the creativity of it. I could I could embroider for, family forever, but in my little bit of experience, thank you, Cindy. That'd be terrific. In my little bit of experience, yeah, some of my family members don't care for the creative gifts. Um, so I embroider for myself. I digitize for others because I enjoy it so much. So again, you guys think about it. Sandra, we can get that for you. We can help you with that. Send me a message. I've got lots of resources I'd be happy to share with you. But think about it and send me a message. If you would like to be here with me next week on air, on camera, I know it's a scary thing, huh? Um, your insides get all kind of jiggly and butterfly and little woo. Um, but it can be done and it's fun. They will appreciate it. Cindy says that family will appreciate it later in life. And Sandra, yes, send me a message. I have resources. But anyways, I'm going to sign off now. I'm going to say goodbye. Send me a message. I'll reach out to a couple of you. Maybe see if I can't get a nerd to wake up at 10 o'clock in the morning. Who knows? Uh, but our we'll just talk about our adventure in this thing we call embroidery. All right. I'm going to go over here. Oops, where am I going? And I'm going to say until next week. Wasn't that fun? Do you have more questions? Do you want to learn something new? Join me at quicktostitch.com for coffee and conversation, and we'll talk about it. Embroidery machines, designs, and business. Hope to see you soon. Bye now.